This video is titled, Rachel Hollis's life advice will leave you speechless. One of the most eye-opening speeches ever. My eyes are open! And of course, as I'm waiting for this video to start, Tony Robbins' ad pops up. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking again about Rachel Hollis, everyone's favorite self-help guru. Just one of the plethora of self-help gurus that are available online today. She's been in some hot water. If you didn't watch my last video about her controversial TikTok and Instagram story thing that she posted.
What is it about me that made you think I want to be relatable? No, sis, literally everything I do in my life is to live a life that most people can't relate to.
But in this video, I really wanted to start to kind of understand who she is as a person, break down some of her facade, some of her selling tactics, because when she speaks, a lot of times, there's purpose behind it, and not purpose of I'm gonna help people, but purpose of I'm gonna sell tickets to my seminars. Purpose behind her marriage podcast that obviously is no longer because she's divorced, but like 6 months before they got divorced, it was to get people to go to the couples retreat and spend thousands of dollars there. So it's hard to tell what is real advice from her and what is advice that is leading people down a funnel to spend money in her company. So I wanted to look at some of her interviews where the barriers are a little bit dropped because the setting is a little bit more Q&A, it's a little bit more get to know me style wise. And I want to actually give a little slack to Rachel because I feel like because she made this persona of the person she wants to be on camera and as a businesswoman through her books, she's almost set herself up to not be allowed to have a human moment, not be allowed to fail. So I think that comes in with some of the reason as to why she acts the way she does. She's boosted herself up. She's taken her bootstraps so high up that it's like choking her. So, as much as I like to poke fun at her and, drag her through the mud because she made comments that were out of this world, inappropriate, I think everyone is human. Everyone has a real life behind what they show on the highlight reel of Instagram and TikTok. And I'm hoping to maybe just like crack the nut a little bit and see who she really is and what her philosophy truly is as a person. And maybe we all can get behind her a little bit more because, she'll talk about, and all these people who are unfortunately, women, self-help entrepreneurs, they're very much into this boss babe, girl power, woo-woo, which, on paper it looks great. Like if you were to write down like girl power, girl bosses are really important, I would agree. But when you start to watch a lot of these videos over and over again or hear these multi-level marketing distributors talk about like we're building a tribe of women entrepreneurs, small business women, it's like it gets annoying because it's only a recruitment tactic. It's not a true like empowerment movement. And that's disappointing because we do need more women in business. We do need more women in leadership. So today we're gonna watch a video from Rachel. It's a conversation with Tom. It's like one of these interview Q&A style YouTube channels. I used to be like a fangirl of self-help and Tony Robbins and Gary Vee and Rachel Hollis even and people like that. And then, I don't know, I just over time, I think honestly going to therapy and working on my trauma, I started to realize like, whoa, like this is manipulative and this type of content is a lot of times preying on vulnerable people. And I saw myself as a non-vulnerable person, but then after working through some of my issues, I'm like, oh man, no, I was vulnerable. No wonder I was like looking for all these people to latch onto and get help from because I was so lost, I didn't know where to look. So grab your popcorn. I hate popcorn. Grab your sprinkles cupcake and get ready for the show. All right, let's go.
If you want something, if you have a passion in your heart, fire in your belly, it's gonna be you. It's gonna be you getting up early. It's gonna be you staying up late. It's gonna be you running the miles and going to the gym and eating the kale and doing all the crap. It's only gonna be you.
So we're only starting right from the beginning. This is like the teaser portion of the video where they like show a part of the interview before the interview actually begins to kind of hype you up, to get you an idea of what the interview is going to be about. And this really does kind of almost summarize her whole thing. It's like, you know, tough stuff is not going to come easy to you, and like, you know, you have to work hard. And I think most people would agree working hard is probably the key to success, along with luck, along with raw talent, good education, lack of barriers, whatever. There's a lot of factors other than hard work. I mean, if hard work made everyone a millionaire, people who pick vegetables, you know, are crouching all day, or run a farm, or, you know, things like that, which is like a lot of hard work, laborious work, investment, whatever, they would be billion trillionaires. She says, waking up early, running at the gym, eating kale, then you're gonna be successful. I mean, successful at what? At being skinny? At being fit? I mean, I don't really see the other parts of the equation. And also, she calls it crap, you know, eating the kale and doing the workouts, calls it crap. I mean, then why do it? If it's crap, like, there's other ways to exercise than go to the gym. Like, you could run, you could play a sport, you could garden, like, you could do a bunch of different things. You could do yoga. That's not as crappy. Like, forcing yourself to do these things that you don't enjoy, like, you have one life. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, because you're trying to please yourself, but really it's other people and having them like you and want to be like you. But, you know, if you don't like it, if you don't like kale, there's 17 other varieties of lettuce that might taste better. Why force yourself to eat kale? Because it's popular?
You can hire the greatest trainer in the world. You can have the greatest cheerleader. I could have you run beside me and yell out inspirational sayings. But ultimately, it's on me. For me, it was understanding why. That's why I think therapy is so freaking powerful.
I have to agree 1000%. Therapy is freaking powerful. I recommend everyone go to therapy. All my friends have heard me say this a million times. My family too, which they refuse to go, but that's a whole different story. But yeah, therapy is amazing. It is great. You know, if you are lucky enough to afford therapy, because it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but if you can afford it and go, it is so powerful. So Rachel and I agree on that.
It's not that time that you sit in the chair with someone and cry about all the things. It's that moment where you're like, oh my gosh, that's why. If you know why, you can learn how to navigate around something. But I think if you don't know the core of the problem, you can't move past it. If you want business advice or life, I mean, I can tell you what worked for me, but none of it's fast. And I don't think that the things that are lasting are ever quickly accomplished.
I mean, I think that's good advice. You know, she's not saying like it's gonna work for you 100%, so that's good. Her advice is what happened for her, you know, how she did things. I think that's a much more realistic perspective to give, as opposed to just saying like, this is what you should do. And not to say she doesn't do that in her seminars and her other videos. I mean, she definitely does give straight advice, like what you should do, A, B, and C. But at least here, when she's in a more relaxed setting, she's saying like, you know, I can only show you what I've done. So I appreciate that. And side note, I just think these B-roll clips are so funny. Like the clips that they play and the music they play underneath. If you're familiar with this space, like the healing, wellness, self-empowerment space, like this is like, they must have a subscription to the same service, because they're all the same. They're always like pensively looking at the camera, like, you know, and the music is like so dramatic, and the speech, whatever the speech is, it's about, you know, never giving up. It's like, oh my God.
People they're like, well, I can't because, or here's the reason why. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I had all those excuses. And it didn't mean that making the decision to move forward, suddenly it got easier. If anything, making the decision to move forward is harder. John Maxwell said this to me the other day. He's like, movement causes friction. Always. And so just because you make the decision to move forward doesn't mean now we're doing it. No, now you've got all kinds of other problems. what are the things I'm not sorry for? And as a recovering people pleaser, I struggled for years with wanting to make sure everyone was happy, and the idea that someone, my husband or my in-laws or my parents, might be disappointed in me was crippling.
I gotta agree with her here too, and that I see her eye to eye on this topic, recovering people pleaser. I don't think she's totally out of that. Maybe she thinks she is, like, she's recovering, so she is saying that she's working on it. But, just based on her apology from the last controversy that we talked about, where she had said about her cleaning lady, and she said that it would be so easy for me just to lie and say that I don't have a team, but I do. I feel like that was telling, she has this feeling that people wish that she could do things better than she actually can. Like, she has this thing, I know it'd be better for my brand if I could accomplish everything by myself, but I can't. So I don't want to lie. I could lie, but I won't. It's just so weird to me that that would be on her mind at all. So I think she's in recovery, like she said, people pleaser, totally relate to that 100%. But I think she's got some work to do. So I hope she's not giving advice based on I've recovered now, here's what you can do, because she's not there yet. She needs to learn more.
I've done a lot of work, and there's certainly areas of my life where I still struggle with that, but there are some areas where I'm savage about it. And one of those for me is I do not care what other people think of me for having goals and dreams for myself.
First of all, savage, I hate that word. Anyone who uses the word savage unironically. So I've heard her talk about this before, that, she's not going to be embarrassed or ashamed to have dreams for herself. I don't relate to that one. I don't know what she means by that. Does someone expect her, maybe her husband or ex-husband at this point, say she's too ambitious and that she should take a step back because they're jealous, or because they, think she will fail? Or is it because they see that she's unhappy and that achievement for the sake of achievement is not gonna help her become a happier person, perhaps? I mean, that's could be a concern from someone who loves you, to say, hey, you just made that $20 million deal and wrote that book and were really, successful. Why don't you celebrate that for a minute, and then we'll move on to the next thing? I mean, there's no shame in having goals and dreams, but I think, you can get so off track very quickly when all you care about is achievement. And I think that's what self-care and self-empowerment lacks, is being grateful if you're not achieving constantly. You don't have to strive for more. You don't have to be made for more. You are made enough. And I think that's the true lesson of what I wish self-help and self-empowerment was all about. But we got a long way to go, but we're here for the ride. Okay, moving on.
What are your general thoughts around intention? Should people be journaling? How specific do they need to be?
Oh yeah.
This is the most softball question this guy could have asked. Should people be journaling? What is she gonna say? Not anymore, but she had a whole line of journals at Target. What is she gonna say? No, I've really considered journaling, and I just don't find it useful. I really think just, daily meditation is really where it's at. Of course she's gonna say journaling. She's gonna say journal every day on every one of my notebooks that cost, $30 at Target. I mean, it's can we get a little deeper on the first one? That's the most obvious answer. She has no way not to answer it, but yes, of course.
I mean, actually, it's some of my favorite talks I've ever listened to of yours, or podcasts that you've done, where you've talked about mindset and how important that was, and the impetus for you to change your life in such huge ways, because it's everything. It's everything. And it sounds like very sweeping generalization, but the idea that we really can be in control. You cannot control the variables out here in the world, but you can control your reaction to them, and you can control how you show up in this space. So that looks like, for me, morning routine is hugely important. So starting, making sure that meditation and prayer, making sure that workout's in. I do Brendan's planner. I do my own journal. So I had this habit for years where, just as part of my to-do list, every day I would write down the dreams that I had for my life, and I would write them down as if they had already happened. I had heard that years ago at a conference. Someone said, it's if you say like, I'm going to make $1 million this year, all your brain hears is going to. And you already have a bunch of other to-dos, so why does this sentence stand out? But if you said, I have $1 million, and you're nowhere near that, it makes your brain sort of wake up and take notice.
I've heard this too. It's like a manifesting technique where you believe that you already have something, so the universe will give it to you because it thinks that you already have it, or you think you already have it, so then it believes that you also already have it, so it brings it to you. That's, I guess, the general theory. I mean, if you read The Secret, that's kind of what it is. Like if you trust in yourself that you have it and let the rest go, like with the when and the how, if you let those things go and just trust that you'll have $1 million, then you will. The problem I have with this is, why is $1 million so important? And I think, watching celebrities and seeing how they are with multi-millions, or people with billions of dollars, they still have problems. So why are we still wishing and saying that we have $1 million when there's so much bigger and more deeper things to be wanting? Shouldn't it be like, I am happy, I am fulfilled? I think, if we put those things on paper and then we didn't achieve $1 million but we were happy, it wouldn't still be enough. Or you couldn't say like, oh look, I wrote this down and I created this myself. I feel like, self-help space, again, and Rachel talks about money, losing weight, getting in shape, whatever, like so much, like waking up. It's like, these are just little tiny things of things that we do, but what are we is the thing that's missing.
And so every day for years and years and years, I did this practice, and it is insane. If you go read my notebooks from 5 years ago, it's the life I have today. It's absolutely crazy insane. And that's not like, oh, I wrote it down and so it happened. It's, I wrote it down every single morning, and so every single morning I reset my intention. This is where we're going. This is where we're going. This is where we're going. And it's not just things like, I want to have a New York Times bestseller, which was a huge dream of mine. It's also writing down every day, I'm an exceptional mom. I'm an exceptional wife.
Okay, I think that's good. I think that kind of took it where I was going. Like, it's not all about money and things that we have and things that we've manifested. It's also qualities. But it's important to think, like, what is an exceptional mom? Does an exceptional mom not have problems? Does she not cry? Does she not have, moments where she feels like she sucks? Does she, only have her kids see her in her good times? I mean, according to Rachel Hollis's philosophy, yes, you're not supposed to, according to her, you're not supposed to show, your emotions to your children. That's a whole nother video. But, I think when we put these labels, like, people can say that they're a good mother and then not be. But because they've said it in their journal that they're a good mother, oh, now it is so. And it loses that growth of like, I'm learning to be a mother. I'm learning skills every day. It's an evolving process. I think it's unfair to your children too, to put, I am an exceptional mother. Like how qualify that? Explain what that means. How about, I'm a mother who shows up for my kids? I'm a mother who's there for every big event. I mean, those are things I think that you can stick to. And, if a decision comes up to go on vacation or go to your child's play, like, you can say, oh, I'm the type of person that goes to my child's play. Okay, so she probably wrote down that she was a good wife and had a happy marriage every single morning, I would imagine. And now she's divorced. So does that mean that some of your goals are manifested that way and some aren't? Or does this process not work?
If you don't remind yourself every single day that that's your mission, then you're not resetting where you're headed. And just that simple prompt, it might be something as simple as like, oh, I'm gonna send Dave a text and tell him he looks hot today. Or I'm gonna, write a note for my kids and leave it on their pillow so that when they get in bed tonight, they'll like find a surprise. It's just the simple reminder of how I wanna show up in the world. So that was hugely powerful for me.
This one too, it has like a good sentiment, like, oh, I wanna leave my children notes. I'm gonna remind myself that that's the person I want to be. Shouldn't you work to be that person naturally? Like you're just so attracted to your husband that you want to send him a cute text, or that your children, and you have such a great relationship and you have extra time that you write the notes because you've made your life this way, as opposed to, I'm going to act as if I can do these things, or I'm going to prioritize these things because it makes me look and feel like the type of mom and wife I want to be. But it's not actually you, because you are reminding yourself. I don't think people, who are truly just comfortable with who they are have to remind themselves every single day to do the things that they want to do. That's just me. You may disagree. Let me know in the comments below.
Forgive me, because I for sure didn't make this up. I don't know who I heard this from, but I don't write to-do lists. I write results lists. Like, what's the result you want, not the thing you have to do. The idea that you don't say like all the things you want to accomplish today, you write down what's the result that you're after.
Needs to go to the gym. Less fat. I mean, I don't really have, it's fine. This one's fine. All the way off.
Years ago when I was an event planner, my to-do list could have been like, send emails to these 10 people, redo their portfolio, blah, 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 blah. But the result that I'm after is I need a new client, or I need to make more money. And if you focus on the result, you can come up with 50 different ways to get to the result that aren't bogged down with all of this other crap you think is in between where you are and where you want to go.
I think there's a happy medium. You can have both. You can have a goals list and also a email 10 people list. I don't foresee why that would be hurtful to you. And also, if those are logistical things that you have to get done in a day, I mean, I don't see why that's hurting anybody to like write it down, but I'm not the expert.
And I just sat in meetings all week with really big companies and people, and they would say like, what does the future look like for you? Like, what is, and years ago I would be like, oh, I don't know, we'll see what happens. And now I'm like, Oprah. Like, if Oprah and Ellen had a baby, someone who can make you laugh and then also can challenge you to show up for your own life is, but I couldn't have claimed that 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I would have worried.
Wait, what? Wait, I missed it. She is Oprah? Is that what she's saying? She is Oprah? She is as if Ellen and Oprah had a baby. Did I hear that right? I gotta go back, hold on.
And years ago I would be like, oh, I don't know, we'll see what happens. And now I'm like, Oprah. Like, if Oprah and Ellen had a baby, someone who can make you laugh and then also can challenge you to show up for your own life is, but I couldn't have claimed that 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I would have worried what everyone in this room thought of me, because who says that? What a douchebag.
Okay, so I guess I did hear it right. At first I thought she was gonna be on Oprah, and I thought, okay, that's good. That's like a decent, goal. Like, Oprah does her Soul Sundays and different interviews still. But okay, so she wants to be Oprah. And Ellen. She wants to be Oprah and Ellen if they had a baby. I mean, she's becoming like Ellen. I mean, I can see Ellen. I can see the Ellen element. She says, oh, what a douchebag. I mean, that is. And then she's also like, in her apology, she says that she doesn't want to be like anyone else, any other woman in the world in history. She wants to be her own Rachel. That's great. I mean, I think you are, whether you want to or not, you are your own person. Oprah and Ellen cannot conceive a baby and rebirth you. So physically, it's impossible. But theoretically too, it's like, what does that mean? These are all meaningless things. And I think, she's built her confidence over time, and that's what she's saying, that, 5 years ago I wasn't confident. But I think her first answer was much more proper. And, even if she had aspirations to be an Oprah, I don't know what you gain from sharing that with somebody other than a self-inflated persona or self-inflation moment of like, I'm confident and I will be Oprah. It's like, Oprah's a human being as well. So what does Oprah provide people? A channel to watch, a good interviewer. What else does she do? It's not like she's a super god. She's a person, and so are you. So I don't understand this answer. I get it that she's saying that she's, more confident than she was before, and she has big aspirations, but I think she's lost as to what that actually looks like and means.
But I might still struggle with, what you think of my hair or my writing style, but I certainly don't care what you think of me for having a dream. And I think that it's one of the things that cripples women most, is they have this desire on their heart, they want to pursue something for themselves, and they're too afraid of what other people will think. They're too afraid of what, like Marissa from 8th grade is going to think of them for signing up for a half marathon. They're too afraid of what their mother-in-law thinks of them for wanting to start a business, and they just drown in the shame associated with it, and nobody calls it BS. Nobody says, like, wait, this isn't, we're all dealing with this.
I agree that a lot of people are afraid to pursue businesses and things because there's a lot of risk involved, and people do judge, and some with good reason, because for example, and I don't know if she's referring to a business in the multi-level marketing sense, but people who judge when someone starts a business in that way, selling Monat or becoming a Beachbody coach, they have good reason to be worried about them, because 99% of those people aren't making money and they're being sucked into a scam. So being concerned about someone you care about starting a business like that, yeah, I can understand 100%. I'm, concerned for anyone who does that type of business. But for someone starting a half marathon, if someone from the 8th grade is going to judge them, my advice is, why are you telling that person from the 8th grade what you're doing? Why do you need somebody to validate your goals? And why aren't you okay with pursuing them without telling anyone? That would be my advice as a self-help guru, is why do you feel the need to post about it or tell or ask permission? But, coming from Rachel, who's telling people she wants to be Oprah, you're just validating your dreams and your goals through somebody. I would say what she said before is, like, we don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? But have personal, internal goals that you don't have to share overtly, because why? What benefit does it get you to share your goals out loud like that, other than criticism and negativity that you can fight back and ignore? But why even put it out there? You can put it out there in the universe, in your mind, during your meditation, but I don't see the value of posting about it, because all you're asking for is to be validated, and then you're not, then you're upset, and then you have to overcome that hurdle that you've created.
None of us can step forward into who we're called to be because we're too worried about what you think of us. So excuses were really important for me to tackle, just because I think, love my girls, but women especially, like, we need to call BS. And you need to have someone get in your face and say, like, with all the love in my heart, this is not real. This is something that you've decided to cling to because it justifies why you're still in the same place.
I don't know what she means there exactly, and I don't know if I'm going to address it. I'm just going to move on.
That's why I'm an achiever. Like, I had to perform. In my family, nobody paid attention to you unless you were doing something good. So if you got an A on the test, if you scored a goal in the soccer game, then we all clap for you and we love you. And the second that achievement is done, we're back over here doing our thing. And what that teaches a child is that in order to get love, you better keep achieving.
Ooh, that hurts my heart. That hurts my heart. Because it's so true, and I think it is so telling as to why she gives the advice that she gives. I think that's where it comes from. It seems pretty clear, like, okay, she's saying her parents didn't care unless she got an A on the test, or her parents didn't care unless she scored the soccer goal. Okay, now she, as an adult woman, is a motivational speaker that preaches achieve your goals, set really high standards for yourself, never, you're made for more. Some people are just made to play soccer because they want to play soccer. Some people don't want to, or shouldn't want to, score all the goals. I used to be that way, where it's like, if I'm not winning, I don't care. I don't want to be here. But that makes life unfun. It makes life uninteresting, because all you're doing is, like, beating yourself up every day. And she even says, like, you need someone to get in your face and tell you the truth. It's like, did that help you? Really? I'm sure, it would have been better as a child if you grew up with parents who just were okay with whoever you were. It's unfortunate, but that's a trauma. It's not an advice. It's a trauma that she can overcome. Not something that should be like, ooh, yeah, let me like share and spread this bad advice to everybody.
Now, I don't regret that because, gosh, it's manifested into something really powerful as an adult. But so he asked that question, who'd you have to be? And then he says, and who else did you have to be? And I had never consciously had this thought, and it fell out of my mouth, small. So my dad was little girl, you don't know what you're talking about, little girl this, little girl. And he wanted you to be bigger than life when other people were watching, but he also believed that children should be seen and not heard. You little girl, you better shut your mouth. So how do you carry that? How do you be as big and achieving as you can possibly be, and then shut up because nobody wants to hear what you have to say? And I found myself as a grown woman sitting there realizing that this had become my career. So I had, in the dark, like behind the scenes in a way that it wouldn't bother anybody, I'm building and dreaming and an entrepreneur and super proud of what I'm doing. But if you had asked me, what do you do? I'd be like, oh, I have this little blog. And it was, at the time, I'm like, by myself, it's over 6 figures. I was really proud of what I would, but I never said that. Family parties, oh, Rachel, she's just a little blogger, she's a little DIY. But I wouldn't claim what I was doing because I just thought I've got to be big and I've also got to be small.
That's interesting. I mean, I see parts of that in myself where, I feel like I have to, be humble all the time. I think that's what a lot of women feel, because if you do show off or say, yeah, things are going really great, especially talking to other women, sometimes it can be like, oh, who do you think you are type of scenario. Yeah, I think she's got a lot. And in her book, she does talk about her family life and some things with her brother who had committed suicide. And a very traumatic event, obviously, to go through. And she was actually part of like finding his body and all this stuff. So horrible and very, very traumatic for anyone to go through, especially someone who has, it seems like, some self-esteem issues stemming from her parents. I think, she learned from a young age that you have to keep pushing and work in the shadows, and then, come out when you're successful. Then you can show like, okay, I have something to show for myself. But I feel like that can be totally limiting because, people, like maybe her parents care now that she's, a millionaire, multimillionaire and whatever, but some people won't ever care. They're not going to care. They're not going to like you either way. And getting to the end of the finish line and then no one being there cheering for you, if it's something genuine that you are interested in accomplishing, you won't care if you're the only soul at the end. But if all you were doing this all for was to get that, yeah, woo woo, and those people aren't there, well, then it was useless and for nothing. And that's what I think is bad advice, or it's not being explained enough to have real meaning in people's lives.
Making the decision as a people pleaser that I would no longer seek love from others in negative ways. And the only way I know how to do that is I'm going to be so filled with love myself. I'm going to be so filled with love for my in-laws, for my parents, for everybody else, that it doesn't matter if you love me back. I'm gonna love you so hard, it doesn't matter if you love me back. Because if I've got enough love for both.
Oh man, that's really not good advice, in my opinion. I mean, that's what just breeds abusive relationships, right? I mean, I'm gonna love you so hard. If you abuse me, I don't care. I'm gonna over love you. I'm gonna fix our relationship based on me over putting my effort into it. I mean, that's probably the therapy 101. Don't do this in any relationship. Especially with a significant other or your in-laws. I mean, you cannot. I think good advice would be you should expect people to love you when you're putting in love. Whether it's your family or friends, if someone's not showing you love back, I mean, that's a boundary that you can set and say, okay, this is not the relationship that I need or want in my life. And until we get to a place where I feel this is equal, then we can take 20 steps back. I'm not gonna smother you with my love and force you to love me because I need you to care about me eventually. This is weird advice. I don't even know how this looks in a realistic situation, but I think she's trying to be the, I will like never be negative and I will always be positive no matter what. Like, you can stab me in the heart and I'm just gonna smile. And it's like, okay, this is just like the Joker, you know, backstory or something. You know, like, this does not lead well psychologically. It can't. I mean, you're gonna get tired at some point. You cannot continually force or try to get people to care for you while you're saying like, I don't care, I'm gonna love you and it doesn't matter. Like, it has to be reciprocal. It's some level. So I don't know, this advice is not good.
Because if I've got enough love for both of us, then I don't need to try and shape myself into someone new in order for you to approve of me. So those are two huge awarenesses that I came to.
Okay, so what did you think? The other video that I was gonna watch originally was 3 hours long, and I think maybe there is a way to watch it in a couple of different parts, and probably we'll get to know her more. But that was just a little introduction to Rachel Hollis's philosophy. And what do you think? I mean, I feel like I'm being a little bit critical. This is a different kind of style video. I'm trying to find my style, find the right moves, and get into the right cadence and the right set. This is kind of like my side set. I'm not a psychologist or anything. I'm a know-nothing nobody. But I find this is therapeutic for me. So even if no one watches it, even though I want people to watch it, and that is a desire and a goal of mine, I'm gonna write in my journal tonight. But at the end of it, just producing this type of stuff and talking about it, and even having the audience of a camera to listen to me vent, you know, it does help me. And so at the end of it, if no one's at this finish line with me at 1 million views or whatever, like, I will still be okay, and I'll still continue to make these types of videos for now, and that goal might change. So anyways, that was my video about Rachel Hollis's motivational advice on Motivation Hub. Okay, yeah, so comment, who else do you think I should talk about? I know I want to talk about Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, who else? Who else are you interested in hearing about? Is there any other motivational people out there that you think might be deserving of a little like operation, a little bit of like, ooh, let's peer behind the glass? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.